Stop guessing how energy works. You clicked because you want the real method, not breathwork trends, not feel-good vibes. This book maps it like circuitry, how energy flows, how it's pulled, directed, and controlled like a physical force. These aren't ideas, they're instructions. And once you follow them, the shift is immediate. But here's the catch. You were never really taught what energy truly is. You were handed fragments, pretty words, new age slogans wrapped in pastels and polished smiles. Keep your vibes high, stay positive, cleanse your aura, and ground yourself. And for a while, you tried to do just that. You meditated, you journaled, you lit the candles, saged the corners, and whispered mantras into mirrors. You tried to stay soft, centered, and open. You tried to fix your energy, but there was always something missing. A silence beneath the sound, a pressure just under the surface, a subtle hum of dissonance. Because deep down, you suspected something none of those books or coaches or wellness influencers would ever say out loud. That energy isn't just something you balance. It's something you move, shape, command, and maybe, if you're willing to let go of what you've been told, it's something you can wield. You see, the first lie they told you was that energy is passive, that it just is like air, that your job is to be calm, be kind, be stable, to clear the fog and align your chakras so you don't make things worse, to not be a burden, to regulate your state. But what they never told you was that your energy acts, that your field is not just a mirror, it's a force, one that can impact a room before you speak a word, one that has been impacting others your entire life, whether or not you realized it. No one handed you that language. No one explained why you could walk into a space and feel the tension before anyone said anything. No one taught you why you felt exhausted around some people and energized around others. You just felt it. And because no one around you validated that experience, you learned to doubt it. But that doubt, that self-questioning, that wasn't your instinct, that was your conditioning. Because somewhere buried under layers of politeness and spiritual bypassing, you already knew this. You've always known. You knew it in the moments when you said something small, and someone's entire face changed. You saw it in the way your silence could settle an argument or stir discomfort. You felt it when you held someone's gaze just a second too long, and something electric shifted between you. That wasn't coincidence. That wasn't mood. That was energy. Moving, responding, interacting. They told you to protect your energy, but they never taught you to project it. They told you to cleanse, but never to charge. They told you to stay grounded, but never how to root in power and rise from it. And so, without tools, without words, you began to suppress not just your emotions, but your signals, your instincts, your knowing, your field. And the more you ignored it, the quieter it got, until one day you couldn't hear it at all. Just static, numbness, emotional fatigue. Not because you were broken, but because you were never taught how to stay intact in a world that benefits from you being energetically small. And make no mistake, there are systems, spiritual, societal, political, that benefit deeply from that, because people who understand energy are harder to manipulate. People who wield energy become impossible to control. You were never meant to ask, what am I feeling and why? You were meant to stay focused, polite, presentable. You were never meant to trust the chill in your spine, the heat in your hands, the pull in your gut. You were taught to override it, to call it overthinking, anxiety, hormones, trauma. But what if the thing you called anxiety was actually signal? What if that gut feeling wasn't fear, but field disruption? What if your sensitivity wasn't a flaw, but the exact sense that could guide you through this world more safely than any advice? They didn't teach you that. Not in school, not in therapy, not even in spiritual spaces. Not really, because if they did, you might have asked harder questions. You might have stopped listening to words and started listening to resonance. You might have stopped people-pleasing and started noticing who drains your energy without earning it. And that would have been a problem for them, because when you begin to reclaim your energetic presence, you become less dependent on approval, on rules, on scripts. You become harder to guilt. You start to see manipulation not as a moral failure, but as an ambient tool that everyone is using all the time. Let's pause there, because this is the second lie, that manipulation is evil. You've been taught to think of it as deceit, as violation, as something only narcissists and abusers do. But manipulation, at its root, simply means to shape, to direct, to influence with intention. And the truth is, everyone manipulates energy. The question is whether they do it consciously. Politicians do it. Watch how they pause, how they modulate their voice, how they hold eye contact. That's energetic shaping. Performers do it. Speakers, actors, religious leaders, even a masterful storyteller in your family. Someone who could hold a room in silence was manipulating the field, changing the temperature, opening a portal. That wasn't just charisma, that was current. So if everyone's doing it, why is it only bad when you do it? Why were you told to stay small, stay soft, stay still? Because power without awareness is dangerous, but power with awareness, that's revolutionary. And you were never meant to be revolutionary. You were meant to be digestible. That's why even spiritual communities taught you to transcend ego, to surrender, to stay in the light. They wrapped your power in language that made it seem suspect, shadowy, too much. And then they sold you back pieces of your energy in the form of courses, coaching, and compliance. But the ancient world didn't do that. In ancient Egypt, high priests used sound to shift energy fields. In Hermetic traditions, words were symbols of resonance, each carrying specific vibrational codes. In Chinese medicine, Qi is not metaphor. It's measurable through pulse, breath, and presence. In Kabbalah, letters and numbers form maps of energetic terrain. In Tantra, the body isn't sinful, it's sacred architecture. These systems weren't trying to be nice, they were trying to be true. And truth is often disruptive. It shakes, it burns, it clears, but most of all, it moves. And that's the part you were never supposed to reclaim: movement. Because a person who knows how to move energy is a person who cannot be spiritually silenced. You know those moments where someone walks in and the whole room shifts, the air gets heavy, people stop talking, or they can't stop looking. Maybe their body tenses, maybe it opens. That's not magic, that's field contact, and you've done it too. You just forgot. You forgot because they told you to be humble, to be mindful, to avoid taking up too much space. And so you apologized for your field. You squeezed your light into something palatable. You labeled your fire too much and called it healing to dim yourself. But healing is not about shrinking. It's about integrating, owning, reclaiming what was always yours. That fire, it isn't chaos, it's clarity. That rage, it's a boundary. That grief, it's transmutation. And when you stop suppressing your energy and start shaping it, you begin to feel like yourself again. Not the mask you wore to survive, not the soft, sweet version of you that kept the peace. The real you, the one who remembers, the one who knows. Because you do know, don't you? You've known since childhood that something wasn't right, that the rules didn't make sense, that adults were lying, that calm down really meant don't make me uncomfortable, that you're too sensitive really meant I don't know how to handle truth. And you believe them for a while, but belief is not truth, and truth doesn't need permission. So let's rewrite the script. You're not here to be nice, you're here to be clear. You're not here to be light, you're here to carry frequency. You're not here to play small, you're here to manipulate energy with integrity. Because if you don't, someone else will. The world is full of unconscious manipulation, advertising, politics, religion, emotional bait and switch tactics, covert control, and you, without training, absorb it all. You don't even notice it happening. You just feel off, anxious, drained, disconnected. But when you learn to sense the field, your own and others, you stop being passive. You start being powerful. So here's your first remembering. Energy doesn't lie. People do. And when you learn to trust the sensation in your body over the words in their mouth, you become immune to manipulation and masterful in it. Because now it's intentional. Now it's choice. Now it's sacred. And sacred doesn't mean soft. Sacred means alive, consecrated, aligned. So don't ask how to raise your vibration. Ask how to sharpen it. Don't ask how to be more liked. Ask how to be more precise. Don't ask how to protect your energy. Ask how to wield it. Because your field is not something you fix. It's something you forge. And it's time to remember how. The first thing you must remember is that energy isn't just an idea. It's alive. More than a buzz, more than a feeling. It's a force that responds, shapes, and moves through consciousness like a living current. When Israel Regardie redefined magic as the art of causing change to occur in consciousness and reality through will, he wasn't spinning fairy tales or whispering about tricks hidden in the shadows. He was pointing toward a profound truth, that magic is not something supernatural or mysterious, but a fundamental expression of how our inner will can ripple outward to transform the world we inhabit. This idea is unsettling for many because it demands a radical shift in how we see ourselves. We are not just passive beings caught in a stream of external events. We are active agents capable of bending the flow of reality itself. And the tool we wield is our energy field, our personal, invisible presence that moves and breathes around us, not just responding to the environment, but actively shaping it. This is the magic that was never taught in school, never properly explained in books, and often dismissed as superstition or wishful thinking. But if you've ever noticed how your presence changes a room without a single word, you've already experienced this. Think about the times when you walked into a gathering and felt the atmosphere shift, whether it became lighter, tenser, or charged with some unspoken anticipation. That's not coincidence or imagination. That's your energy field reaching out and touching the collective field of the people around you. This field is conscious in its own way, plastic and responsive to your intention, mood, and focus. It's a dynamic dialogue, a feedback loop where your internal state resonates with the space and the people in it, creating subtle shifts that others feel even if they can't quite explain why. You've done this before, even if you didn't realize it. Maybe it was the time you stood silently beside someone and their breathing slowed, their shoulders relaxed, as if your presence offered a balm without a single word spoken. Or the moment your steady calmness during chaos kept a group from unraveling. These are not accidents or tricks. They are demonstrations of energetic magic at work. Your will translated into real change simply through the presence you held. This responsiveness of energy fields means that magic is not about waving wands or chanting spells. It's about mastering the art of presence, knowing that your consciousness is intertwined with the fabric of reality. Every thought, every emotion, every breath sends ripples into this field, causing shifts that are sometimes subtle, sometimes seismic. This is why people who learn to cultivate this awareness can influence situations with remarkable precision, shaping moods, guiding decisions, creating outcomes that seem almost miraculous. But to reach this understanding, you must first unlearn the idea that magic is something mysterious or reserved for a special few. It's not about supernatural power or external forces. It's about your own internal power, the focused direction of your will, expressed through the energy that flows from your being. This means that magic is democratic. It is available to everyone who is willing to recognize and take responsibility for the impact their presence has. In this light, manipulation loses its negative connotations and becomes an essential skill. Not manipulation as deceit, but as intentional direction, a conscious steering of energy to cause a change in the world around you. When you walk into a room and influence the mood, you are practicing magic. When you hold space for others in your calmness or your strength, you are practicing magic. When your words or silence create a pause that shifts the flow of conversation or emotion, you are practicing magic. You may have been taught to shy away from this power, to downplay your influence so as not to rock the boat or make others uncomfortable. But what if embracing this skill could bring greater harmony, clarity, and truth to your relationships and your life? What if the true danger lies not in wielding your energy with intention, but in denying your role as a participant in the energetic dance of life? Energy fields are not static. They are alive, fluid, and deeply connected to consciousness. This means that your inner state is never isolated. It reaches out and touches the outer world in ways you might not see, but always feel. When you feel tension in your body around certain people or situations, that's your field responding to theirs. When you find yourself inexplicably drained or energized by an environment, it's your energy merging, clashing, or harmonizing with the larger currents around you. This interplay reveals that magic is fundamentally relational. It is not a solo act, but a dynamic exchange. You send signals through your energy, and the world sends signals back. This is why awareness of your field and the fields around you becomes a kind of second sight, a way to navigate reality with greater sensitivity and precision. It is also why learning to shape your energy with will, intention, and clarity is a practice that empowers you to step fully into your role as a conscious creator of your experience. Imagine the subtle but profound impact when you realize that your energy is not a passive echo of the environment, but a proactive force that can reshape it. You don't have to wait for permission or external validation. You can cultivate the skill of directing your presence like a musician shapes sound or an artist moves paint on a canvas. This is the essence of magic, as Israel Regardie described it: an art, a practice, a way of living that moves beyond superstition into a lived reality of conscious influence. What makes this magic accessible but also challenging is its intimate connection with self-awareness. You cannot cause change in your field without first knowing the currents that run within. This requires deep honesty and courage, the willingness to face your shadows, your fears, your unacknowledged power. It's a process of reclaiming what was never truly lost, but was hidden beneath layers of conditioning, shame, and misunderstanding. When you start to practice this kind of magic, you begin to see the patterns that govern your interactions. You notice how your emotions ripple through your field and affect others. You see how your intentions can either scatter or focus that energy. You learn to hold space for transformation without forcing it, to wield your presence without aggression or retreat. This balance is the heart of energetic mastery, a dance between yielding and commanding, between listening and speaking. And in this dance, you find something deeper than control or domination. You find connection, flow, and resonance. You discover that magic is not about bending others to your will, but aligning your will with the larger currents of life so that your actions create harmony instead of resistance. This is why magic has always been both an art and a responsibility, a way to act with power that honors the interconnectedness of all things. So when you recognize that you've already been practicing this magic, even in the smallest moments, you step into a new relationship with your own energy. You move from being a passive receiver of influence to an active participant in the shaping of your reality. This shift changes everything because it awakens a sense of sovereignty that is not based on external power, but on the mastery of your own field. In practical terms, this means learning to listen deeply to the subtle signals within your body, the shifts in the air around you, the emotions that arise without clear cause. It means cultivating presence as a tool, not just a state. It means practicing intention, not just in words, but in posture, breath, gaze, and silence. Every gesture becomes a brushstroke in the energetic painting of the moment. This is the magic that Israel Regardie spoke of, not a fantasy, but a lived truth, accessible to anyone willing to pay attention. It is a call to reclaim your role as a conscious agent of change, to trust your sensitivity as a portal, and to wield your energy with the clarity and intention it deserves. You don't have to be a sorcerer or a mystic to practice this magic. You only need to remember what you've already felt, what you've already done, even if you dismissed it as coincidence or luck. The art of causing change in consciousness and reality through will is within your reach, waiting for you to claim it. So pause for a moment and reflect. How have you shifted the mood of a room without speaking? When has your presence altered the course of a conversation or calmed a storm of emotions? These are your first steps into the deeper practice of energetic magic. The more you notice, the more you can learn to shape, direct, and embody the energy you are. This is not about forcing change or controlling others. It's about moving with the current of consciousness and adding your voice, your vibration, your presence to the flow. It's about recognizing that your energy is alive, conscious, and responsive. And that magic is the skillful art of channeling that energy to create real transformation in the world. The invitation is simple but profound: to stop doubting the subtle power you already carry and start cultivating it with intention, respect, and clarity. Because the true magic is not out there in some distant realm. It's in the way you move, breathe, and will the moment you're toe in. And as you begin to practice this art, you'll find that your life starts to resonate with a deeper sense of meaning and agency. The noise of doubt and disconnection fades, replaced by the steady hum of your own energy field coming alive, shaping reality with every breath. This is the magic Israel Regardie spoke of, the art of change, the dance of consciousness and will, the power that is yours to awaken and wield. But where do you begin? Where does that power take shape visibly, tangibly? It starts with a map. The tree of life is one of those ancient symbols that often feels distant, cryptic, or wrapped in layers of mystery. But what if I told you that this isn't just some mystical diagram hidden in dusty tomes meant only for scholars or secret societies? The tree of life is one of those ancient symbols that often feels distant, cryptic, or wrapped in layers of mystery. But what if I told you that this isn't just some mystical diagram hidden in dusty tomes, meant only for scholars or secret societies? What if the tree of life is actually a living, breathing map, an energetic blueprint that flows through you right now, beneath the surface of your everyday awareness? This map doesn't just sit still on parchment, it pulses with life, tracing the pathways of energy that shape your very experience of reality. It connects the invisible wiring inside you to the vast web of energy that makes up the world around you. Imagine for a moment that the tree of life is less a static symbol and more like the neural network in your brain, or the electrical grid powering a city. Each point on this tree, called a sephira, is like a node or an energy center. These aren't vague, abstract ideas, but tangible, living parts of your own inner landscape. Each sephira corresponds to specific qualities of consciousness, emotional states, and energetic frequencies that influence how you feel, think, and interact with the world. You might picture these Sephiroth as bright hubs in a complex network, each one a focal point where energy flows in, is processed, and then sent onward. The way energy moves through these nodes shapes the balance and harmony of your entire field. When one node is out of sync, the flow becomes disrupted and you feel it as tension, confusion, or emotional heaviness. When they're aligned and open, energy moves freely and you experience a sense of flow, clarity, and connection. To understand this better, let's translate the tree of life into modern terms that resonate with our daily experience. Think of it like your nervous system, the body's vast communication network sending signals between your brain and every cell. When your nervous system is healthy and responsive, you move with ease, sense your environment clearly, and respond with appropriate feeling and action. When it's out of balance, when nerves are stressed or blocked, you might feel pain, numbness, or disconnection. In the same way, the tree of life is like the spiritual and energetic nervous system of your being, guiding how your energy flows through your mind, heart, and soul. Or picture the tree of life as spiritual circuitry, like the wiring inside a complex machine or computer. Each sephira is a circuit board, a node where current comes together and is redirected. This circuitry is sensitive and adaptable, constantly shifting according to your thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When your internal circuitry is well maintained, energy can travel quickly and efficiently, powering your creativity, intuition, and presence. When circuits get overloaded or shorted out by trauma, fear, or repression, energy gets stuck, leading to feelings of frustration or disempowerment. The beauty of this framework is that it invites you to move beyond seeing yourself as a passive collection of parts and encourages you to engage with your energy in a new way. As a dynamic system, you can observe, care for, and even consciously influence instead of feeling like a victim of your mood swings, mental blocks, or emotional upheavals. You can begin to see these as signs that certain nodes in your tree of life need attention, healing, or realignment. This map is not a rigid structure, but a fluid and living design. The Sephiroth are connected by paths, channels where energy moves, shifts, and transforms. These channels allow the energy in one node to influence others, creating a web of cause and effect. Understanding this interconnectedness is crucial. For example, a blockage or overactivity in one sephira can ripple through the whole system, affecting areas you might never have suspected. It's like how a kink in a garden hose can reduce water flow to the entire plant, or how a glitch in one part of a circuit can shut down an entire device. By learning the language of the tree of life, you gain tools for recognizing how your own energy flows and where it may be stuck or blocked. This awareness opens the door to conscious healing and growth. You might start by noticing how certain emotions or thoughts cluster around specific Sephiroth. For instance, feelings of self-worth or confidence relate to the sephira called Yesod, often translated as foundation or stability. When Yesod is healthy, you feel grounded and secure. When it's weak or blocked, insecurity or self-doubt can dominate. This framework also shows you that energy work isn't about chasing vague spiritual ideals, but about tuning into real patterns within your own energetic body. It connects the mystical to the practical, helping you see that spiritual health depends on the balance and flow of energy through these nodes. Your emotional experiences, your creativity, your intuition, even your physical vitality, all are reflections of how well your tree of life functions as an integrated system. Another way to grasp this is by reflecting on how your body and mind respond to stress or relaxation. Stress might tighten your chest, cloud your mind, or make your stomach churn. These are signs that energy is contracting or stuck in certain parts of your system. Relaxation, by contrast, feels like energy opening, expanding, and flowing with ease. This shift in energy states corresponds directly to changes in your tree of life as the nodes move from constriction toward flow. When you begin to perceive your energy in this way, your relationship with yourself transforms. You become less reactive to discomfort or emotional turmoil and more curious and compassionate. Instead of pushing away difficult feelings or labeling them as bad, you see them as signals from your energetic system, clues pointing you toward what needs care or release. This shift from judgment to curiosity is a crucial step in healing and energetic mastery. The Tree of Life also offers a profound sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to the larger cosmos, because each sephira not only exists within you, but also resonates with universal archetypes and energies. You're reminded that your inner world is a microcosm of a larger energetic grid. This grid connects all life, all consciousness, like an enormous network of flowing energy, all nodes influencing and supporting each other. Understanding this interconnectedness encourages you to see your energy work as part of a larger dance, not just a personal project. When you heal and align your tree of life, you contribute to the harmony of the whole energetic grid. You influence not only your reality, but also the world around you in subtle, powerful ways. This realization can feel both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it reminds you that you are part of something vast and intricate beyond full human comprehension. Empowering because it confirms that your inner work ripples outward, making a real difference. The Tree of Life is also a guide for navigating transformation. Just as energy flows through the Sephiroth in particular sequences and patterns, your own journey unfolds in phases, moments of build-up, release, integration, and renewal. By recognizing where you are on this map, you can better understand the challenges and gifts of each stage. This helps you move through transitions with more grace and intention, rather than feeling lost or overwhelmed. Practicing with the Tree of Life invites a gentle but profound discipline, the willingness to pause and feel your energy, to listen to its movements and to respond with care. This might involve meditation, breath work, or simple moments of mindful awareness. Over time, you develop a sensitivity to your energetic currents, learning to spot where energy feels tight, stuck, or weak, and where it flows freely and joyfully. This awareness naturally leads to the cultivation of energetic hygiene practices that protect and nourish your field. Just as you wouldn't neglect your physical body's health, you learn to care for for your energetic body using tools drawn from ancient wisdom and modern insight alike. Most importantly, the Tree of Life helps you see that energy is not some abstract or remote concept. It's your living reality. It's in the way you think, feel, breathe, and move through the Prav world. It's the silent language beneath every interaction and experience. And by learning its patterns, you gain a new sense of agency, a way to steer your life with intention, clarity, and compassion. So as you engage with this map, remember that it is a living guide, unique to you, but also connected to the universal flow. Each sephira is a gateway to understanding yourself more deeply and shaping your energy with conscious will. The Tree of Life is not a puzzle to solve, but a path to walk, a grid of radiant energy waiting for your presence to animate it. Step by step, node by node, you awaken to your own energetic landscape and learn the art of moving through life, not as a passive traveler, but as an active, conscious participant in the grand network of reality. But awakening this energy isn't always gentle or easy. You've likely felt it before, the raw intensity of energy that's been stirred, summoned, or cracked open, but not properly held. Maybe it came after a breakthrough, a spiritual high, a breathwork session that left your chest buzzing for hours. Maybe it came in a wave of euphoria or rage, or knowing so deep it scared you. Or maybe it didn't feel like energy at all. Maybe it just felt like your life falling apart right after things started getting better. No one warned you that healing could destabilize you, that awakening could unravel you, that moving energy without structure, without understanding, without preparation can be dangerous. But it can. And that's what most people don't want to talk about when they glamorize manifestation, when they post about energy alignment, when they throw around words like quantum shift without ever naming the responsibility that comes with power. Because energy in its purest form doesn't care about your comfort. It responds to will. It amplifies intention. It carries the seed of creation and destruction, both. So when you stir it without knowing how to contain it, how to integrate it, how to direct it, it can tear through your life like a storm. Regardie knew this. That's why he didn't write about magic as entertainment. He wrote about it as initiation into a deeper awareness of what you are and what you're touching. He called unbalanced magical work one of the greatest dangers of occultism, not because magic is evil, but because energy, when manipulated without wisdom, doesn't just elevate, it destabilizes. You may have already experienced this in small ways. A moment when you opened up too fast, trusted someone too deeply, too quickly, only to feel violated. A retreat where something powerful happened, but no one helped you process it. The sense of being ungrounded after intense spiritual work, where the world feels thin and every emotion feels magnified. This isn't just emotional overwhelm, this is energetic fragmentation. Because here's what happens when energy is moved without preparation. The psyche splits. Your body might buzz, but your mind scrambles to catch up. You feel bigger but less coherent, more sensitive but less safe. You pick up more, feel more, see more, but you don't yet know what to do with what's coming in. The signal increases, but your container doesn't. That gap, that space between activation and integration, is where chaos enters. It's the space where obsession breeds, where someone gets addicted to the feeling of being high on spirit, but avoids the shadow work. It's where people chase experiences, more rituals, more synchronicities, more downloads, because it feels like movement, but it's actually a spiral. It's where people start to lose discernment, mistake every sensation for a sign, and hand their power over to symbols and spirits because it feels easier than holding their own center. Rigardi called this psychic inflation, a state where someone's energetic expansion outpaces their psychological development, and in that imbalance, the ego grows, but the soul fractures. The person feels important, chosen, powerful, but they become unmoored, susceptible to manipulation, prone to grandiosity or despair. They don't know who they are anymore without the feeling of activation, and so they seek energy, not as a tool, but as a drug. You've probably seen it. The person who seems lit up but unwell. The healer who gives great sessions but lives in chaos. The seeker who's constantly shifting beliefs, always chasing the next system, the next teacher, the next breakthrough, never able to rest. This isn't what spiritual maturity looks like. This is what happens when energy moves without integration. But let's bring it closer to home. Have you ever set a powerful intention, felt the universe respond, and then watched your life erupt? The job falls through, the relationship collapses, the old identity shatters, not because you did something wrong, but because energy obeyed. Your field shifted, and everything not in resonance with that shift began fall away. That's not punishment, that's purification. But if you weren't told that would happen, it can to feel terrifying, like the ground being pulled out from beneath you, like being betrayed by the very thing you thought would save you. You asked to step into your power, but no one told you that sometimes power requires dismantling what you built when you were small. This is the danger of energy work. Without context, without maps, without grounding, I think you're calling in a new life, but you're actually summoning the death of the old one. And if your nervous system isn't prepared for that shift, it will feel like trauma, not because energy is bad, but because you weren't taught how to hold it. We are not taught to work with energy the way ancient systems once did. We're taught fragments, a meditation here, a crystal there, a visualization on TikTok, and we're told it's enough. But it's not, because real energy work isn't about tricks, it's about transformation, and transformation is not safe, it is sacred. That's why the ancients prepared their initiates, not just with rituals, but with discipline, ethics, study, grounding, shadow work, because they understood that power without preparation can collapse the psyche. And maybe you've felt that collapse in subtle ways. The way your relationships began to fall apart as you got more intuitive. The loneliness that came when you could feel other people's energy so strongly you didn't know who you were anymore. The fear that maybe your gifts would make you lose touch with reality or with people you love. The question no one wants to say out loud. What if I open a door I can't close? This is the part of the journey no one glamorizes. The part where energy doesn't feel like light, it feels like fire. It burns through illusion. It scorches false identities. It melts old desires. And if you're not ready to let those go, you'll feel like you're being punished. But you're not. You're being refined. Still, the danger is real, because the same energy that heals can also fracture. The same force that awakens can also overwhelm. Not because energy is malicious, but because it's precise. It moves where it's directed. It opens what it touches. And if what it touches is unhealed, unseen, unintegrated, that's what will surface. So what do? You learn to move slowly. You build your nervous system to match your vision. You stop chasing sensation and start cultivating presence. You let go of the need to feel powerful and learn how to become stable, because true energy mastery isn't about control. It's about coherence, about being able to hold more energy without being thrown by it, about becoming a field so rooted, so attuned that nothing passes through you without being metabolized. That's what Regardie meant when he warned about unprepared minds. He didn't mean weak minds. He meant untrained ones, minds that haven't learned to discern signal from noise, hearts that haven't learned to sit in discomfort without reacting, bodies that haven't been taught how to move energy instead of being moved by it. You're not wrong for wanting power. You're not foolish for wanting to touch the deeper layers of your being. But if you've already felt the chaos of ungrounded energy, the sleepless nights, the emotional swings, the psychic sensitivity that makes crowds unbearable, the sense that you're always picking up too much, you're not broken, you're just open. And openness without structure is vulnerability. But openness with structure, that's magic. You don't need to fear your sensitivity. You need to frame it. You don't need to dull your gifts. You need to deepen your foundation. You don't need to stop the flow. You need to learn how to steer it. And that's what this path is about.